Hi everybody, it's Rochelle again. We were hoping that China and Silk would be back this week, but Silk is still a little under the weather, and China, she's not gonna leave his side for anything. So I guess I'm back for another week. If you listened to my last, I guess you'd call it podcast, I told you a little bit about my past. Well, this week, I want to spend a little time on what made me decide to stay with Silk. If you remember the podcast, Pimps, Paper and Payback, China Doll Ain't Holding Back, I was with her that night, and I remember not believing what I saw when Silk gave our former what you call a 16 today, money when we chose up. I wanted to stick with Silk to find out exactly what was going on because that sort of threw me for a loop. I had never seen a P do that before. He actually was concerned and cared about the other P. Silk had just knocked his ladies, and Silk wanted to make sure that our former P was good. Anyway, let's shoot to the present. I wanted to talk about my experiences with my family and what have you, but it's still a little too painful for me right now. I never got to say goodbye to my dad because I was a spoiled, selfish child. That didn't want to listen to my parents, but I had no problem obeying every word and command of a total stranger. So, I'm gonna spend this episode talking about Silk, and honestly, a lot of people will think this is made up, but I've seen with my own eyes what Silk is capable of and what Silk can do. This is a man who generally cares about people, not your pussy, mouth, or money. He cares about your brain. He went from having girls on the track to the fancy penthouse boardrooms. I've actually been to his offices in New York, Dallas, Jacksonville, London, and Quebec. He's even got one in Los Angeles. He's got one in Chicago. He doesn't work out of those unless there's a big deal going down or unless someone very important is coming into that particular town. If they are, then he'll get in his jet and he'll go there. But other than that, he works from his office in his home right here in California. What I love about Silk is his demeanor never changes, ever. I don't know how to say it right, but you can piss him off and you'll never know it. He never argues, raises his voice, nothing. By the time you finish saying something or doing something to piss him off, his face looks the same. But there's a good chance when you wake up the next morning, your life has been destroyed and you never saw it was coming. You thought you got over or did some slick shit. You are so wrong. I've watched this man make phone calls and end people's careers in like 2 hours. He used to have a saying, I don't know if he still says it, but he says, I could be sitting drinking a cup of coffee in London and rip your fucking heart out in Louisiana, and he can too. But he's the nicest person you'll ever meet. The only thing that Silk does that to this day irks the hell out of me is he'll know when someone is trying to use him or trying to get over on him, and he'll never let them know that he knows what they are doing. If they ask for money, he'll give it to them, knowing that their reason for wanting it is a lie. He had someone tell him that they were kidnapped off the blade and needed $700. Silk knew it was her boyfriend Pimp that supposedly kidnapped her, but he played along, just to prove a point to her. If people ask for a place to stay, he'll let them stay with him or get them a hotel room, and when they disappear in the wind, he makes statements like, well, it only cost me a few dollars to find out what kind of person they are and to know who'll never sit around my table again. I used to ask him, but why let it go that far? Why don't you let them know that you know they're running a scam? And he actually said, they put so much effort. In coming up with this crap, I didn't want to burst their bubble and I wanted to see how stupid they thought I was. And he's serious. If it costs him a little bit of money, some clothing, a car, or whatever, he's grateful enough that at least now he knows this person will never be around him ever again. I don't understand why someone would try to finesse you out of a sandwich when they could just be honest and eat forever. You see, with Silk, there is no gray area. It's not a baseball game with him. You don't get 3 strikes. You fuck up once, and you lose access to him for the rest of your life, and you'll regret that. Because as long as I've known Silk, I've never known him to ask anybody for anything. If he didn't have the money for it, or if he wasn't able to get what he wanted, he did without it. So it's not like he's gonna lose a lot of sleep because you're no longer in his life. There has never been an autopsy report that stated, victim died due to loss of friends. A lot of people in Silk's past think that he follows them online or checks on them to see how they are doing. Silk really doesn't give a fuck. When he's done, he's done. His phrase is, I don't chew gum twice. Once I spit it out, it's for a good reason. Here's another example. Silk has family members that I just found out about. I've known him almost 20 years. He never brings them up. He never talks about them. He is literally what you call a self-made man. I didn't even know he had a brother and 2 sisters. I just found that out, like within the last 6 months. If it wasn't for China putting that his mom's birthday was back in October on his Instagram and TikTok pages, I wouldn't even know when her birthday was. China's a lot closer to Silk because she's made sure to be there for him through thick and thin. She's literally his ride or die. I was out running my companies that he helped me set up. China is that person that would call every other day. I would only call every other week. I'll let you know the kind of person Master Silk is. I'll give you a prime example. China told me about a girl that worked for Silk about 17 years ago. He stayed in touch with her on and off as much as he could. When he found out she wasn't doing that well medically, he reached out to her and he actually paid to bring her where he was. He cared about her and wanted to take care of her. She actually told him that if the only reason you want me back is 'cause you feel sorry for me, I don't want to come back, you might as well forget about it. I was told that Silk's expression never changed. He said, okay. This woman, knowing that she needed help and he extended an olive branch to her, she actually still believed she held the cards, like she was bringing so much to the table besides medical bills. That Silk was more than happy to cover, by the way. Silk wanted to help her out. He wanted to be there for her, and she acted like, I don't need you. And the minute he decided, okay, I haven't heard any more about her, he doesn't bring her up anymore. It just seems weird to me that he was being generous after not seeing her for maybe 15 years, that she still acted like she wanted him to jump through hoops for her. Hopefully they worked it out, because I think they're still friends. I just really don't understand people nowadays. Here's another example. China told me that Silk actually knows a young lady who had a mother who was a stripper, an auntie that stripped, a sister who was an exotic dancer, and she had a grandmother who was what they used to call a vaudeville shake dancer. So they knew about that life. This girl decided not to ask any of them anything and just decided to run away from home and be a blade runner. She would rather sell her body on the street than to learn how to work strip clubs. She had 180 years of advice sitting right there in her home at her fingertips, but she thought that going on the internet and seeing other girls flash fake Temu money, she actually thought that she was going to become a big thing. Silk never talks about her. I only learned about her through China, but I do know that she's not one of Silk's relatives. It appears she's just someone he knows. You know, I was going to try to answer some of these questions because the voicemail and the inbox is filled up on letmepullyourcoat.com. We can't even accept any more messages, but I'm not qualified to answer these messages without Silk's approval. That's a Silk and China thing. I'm sorry I can't answer them for you, but I just want to talk to you guys about Silk. Any women out there that wants a leg up and a better life in the game, whether it's blade running, nursing, investing, or just life, this is the man you really need to talk to. I've seen him help people he just met 5 minutes ago. During our first family meeting, when he had all the girls together for the first time, he wasn't trying to lay down his pimp rules and his pimp laws and all that other bullshit that other P's be doing. He threw down portfolios and investment statements on the table in front of us. He told us that if we stick around for a while, we would be part owners in any company that was in that portfolio, our choice. He said he'd start us a 401k plan so that when we do decide to leave, we have money. He said, I'll make sure you leave here with some money. If the girls wanted to leave early, they had the option of cashing out or letting it ride. All the girls, if they left with money. I know I did. And now I'm back. When Silk went legit, he left behind a flourishing escort service that he wound up selling for damn good money. You couldn't even get a girl to go anywhere for less than a $1,500 deposit up front. Whatever she made when she was with her client, that's different, and it was all hers to keep. She didn't leave the office without the deposit paid up front. It was mainly things like go to the movies, go out to a fancy dinner, go out to a business luncheon, and just be on the guy's arm as eye candy. Whatever she made on the side, that was hers. Silk didn't take any of that. That was her money. The girls who decided to stay on the street and work for Silk, each girl had a driver. They didn't have to call Uber. They didn't have to use their own cars. Silk provided cars and drivers that he paid to keep an eye on his girls. There's no way he could have kept an eye on 12 to 15 girls at a time, so he actually had a whole staff that did that. There was always a guy sitting in the room next door to the room that they rented. They'd have 2 rooms, one for the girls, one for her bodyguard. And that's just the way it was. Hell, Silk usually owned the hotel or had a deal with whoever did own it. The girl's safety was his top priority. If a girl made extra money, Silk invested it for her or she kept it. He invested every spare dime these girls made. When they decided they didn't want to be in the life anymore, they left with houses, cars, bank accounts, 401k plans, and investments. I'm actually an investor in a movie studio. Can you believe that? I never would have thought that a girl born in Gulfport, Mississippi would ever be able to actually say, I've met this famous person or I know that director, but I can now. I just wish everybody could see that this is for real, no bullshit. I once asked Silk why he stopped sending girls to the Blade. He told me once his niece was born, it changed his whole perspective on women and life. His niece made him stop. How sweet is that? He no longer wanted to put girls in harm's way. So now he's doing everything he can to give them other options. He wants to make sure they are all safe. Now I'm not going to keep going on and what have you caused. I don't know how long this will go, and I don't want to screw up anything for Silk and China when they come back. But I just wanted to let you know how I felt about this man. When I heard he was sick again, I made my way here as fast as my wheels could turn. There was no hesitation. China is still with him and taking him back and forth to his doctor's appointments. This is the kind of man that if we lose him, even though we have financial freedom now, a big part of our life will be gone. Truth is that no one actually cared for us or loved us the way Silk does. He taught us that every woman has a vagina, a set of breasts, and a butt. In other words, we all have the same exact thing, just in different packaging. He taught us that the one thing that we all have that is different is our brains. He said that once we realize that our brains is our moneymaker and not our bodies, we would never be broke or dependent on anyone for our survival ever again. Okay? I'm getting teary-eyed again. All right, if I think of anything else, I'll drop another episode. Now I know it's supposed to be once a week on Tuesdays, but I'll probably pop on here again just to let you guys know how everything is going. I appreciate you listening to me, and once I'm able to talk more about my private and personal life, I'll gladly do it. But right now, it brings back too many memories. It brings back too much pain. Thank you guys for listening. Take care, and I'll talk to you next time. As Silk would say, much love and much respect.